Welcome to the Flag Bearer channel. This is Little Known Black History Facts. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Eunice Hunton Carter, the sister that took down a powerful mob boss. In the 1930s, New York City was a place of power and corruption, a city where crime bosses ruled the streets and the legal system was under siege. But amidst the city's darkest times, one woman would change the course of history: Eunice Hunton Carter. Her story is one of resilience, intelligence, and breaking barriers at a time when society was deeply segregated and women of color faced numerous challenges in the legal profession. Eunice Hunton Carter was a prominent African American attorney and civil rights activist. She broke numerous barriers as a woman of color in law and public service during the early 20th century. Carter is most famous for her role as an assistant district attorney in New York City in the 1930s, where she was instrumental in bringing down a notorious mob boss. She was born into a family with a strong commitment to social justice. Both her father and her mother were civil rights activists. Her mother was one of the first Black women to serve overseas with the YMCA during World War I. Eunice graduated from Smith College. She was only the second woman in the school's history to receive both a bachelor and a master's degree in 4 years. While making a living as a social worker in New York and New Jersey in the 1920s, Eunice took classes at Fordham Law School and became the first African American woman to receive a law degree there, and was one of the few Black female law graduates of her time. 2 years after graduating from law school, she went into private practice, but finding work was scarce. She accepted the Republican nomination for a state assembly seat in 1934. Although she lost that race, Mayor Fiorelli LaGuardia appointed her as secretary of his Commission on Conditions in Harlem in the spring of 1935. Eventually, she became a part-time volunteer assistant for the Women's Court, where most of the cases involved prostitution. Her talents drew the attention of the newly appointed state special prosecutor, Thomas Dewey. Mayor LaGuardia and Dewey hired a large staff to fight organized crime in the city and selected Eunice Carter to work in the predominantly Black area of Harlem. Carter thus became the first female African American assistant district attorney in the state of New York. She made history throughout her life, but the crucial evidence she presented to the New York State Special Prosecutor in the mid-1930s would result in one of the greatest prosecutions against organized crime in American history, sending mafia boss of bosses, Charles Lucky Luciano, to a long stretch in prison. Her work with Special Prosecutor Thomas Dewey to build a case against Luciano involved innovative investigative tactics, including following the money trail through New York's prostitution rings, which led to significant mob convictions. Carter was the only woman on the team and the only African American among them. She was also paid far less than her white male counterparts. Many of Carter's cases as assistant district attorney in 1935 were brought against women charged with prostitution. As prosecutor, she noticed that some defendants were using the same bondsmen and lawyers and told similar stories while trying to beat charges against them. Carter deduced that hoodlums perhaps controlled New York's prostitution. She approached Dewey, and an investigation by his office confirmed her theory. The mob was indeed deeply entrenched in illegal prostitution and collected 50% of their prostitutes' earnings. Carter's innovative approach and insights were crucial in developing a case against Luciano. She was one of the first to recognize the connection between organized crime and the prostitution rings in New York City. Through extensive investigation, she uncovered a network of brothels and traced the financial links back to Luciano, ultimately revealing how he profited from and controlled these operations. Carter's meticulous work laid the foundation for Dewey's case, focusing on the strategy of attacking Luciano's financial interests rather than trying to prosecute him for more traditional but difficult to prove crimes like murder or extortion. Dewey ordered a raid of scores of brothels and arrested 100 illegal sex workers. several of whom agreed to testify about the mob's ties to the business. Luciano was charged with pandering on a large scale. The sensational trial ended in a guilty verdict and a sentence of 30 to 40 years for Luciano. This was a landmark achievement, not only in the fight against organized crime, but also in Carter's career as a black woman attorney in an era of significant racial and gender discrimination. Luciano's conviction, based on Carter's discovery, was considered the most successful court action against organized crime in U.S. history. It put a dent in the Luciano syndicate's illicit activities and political corruption. In 1937, Dewey, then New York City's district attorney, assigned Carter to head his Special Sessions Bureau involving cases brought in municipal court, where she remained until 1945. Despite all her work in building a case against the mob, Carter was not selected to assist Dewey when it came time to present the case in court. Although Carter was largely relegated to the sidelines during the trial, she remained involved by helping to prepare witness testimony and by overseeing the protection of the women who agreed to take the stand. Dewey publicly acknowledged her contributions after the conviction was announced. Eunice went on to serve as Deputy Assistant District Attorney under Dewey, and she later worked with the United Nations and Black-run organizations like the National Council of Negro Women until her death in 1970. However, she was never able to achieve her dream of securing a judicial appointment. Carter's role in the case was groundbreaking, both as a woman in law enforcement and as an African American in a high-profile legal position. Until next time, if you like little-known history facts as I do, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Press the bell to be notified of future uploads. Thank you for watching.